Hello and welcome back to my humble show. I'm your host for tonight and every other night, the Articulate Thinker, hopefully here to bring you art, articles, and articulation straight from Articulation Station. So be sure to like, subscribe, and enjoy the ride. Don't forget to turn on those bell notifications while you're at it. I'm not going to ring it because it is very late and I'm very tired. So, though I don't really feel up to recording the show, I'm going to give it a go. And you can let me know what you think down in the comments below. Feel free to disagree with me on anything I may say, and I may say some things. Yeah. In fact, that's what I'm here to do. So, let's get to it. I'm going to be talking about E. Carroll and Donald Trump. The latest news on them. Yeah, some breaking news over the past 24 hours, the last 24 hours. And I'm a bit conflicted in talking about this because I've talked about it extensively in the rearview mirror. But that was on my other show, my other channel, I should say. That's right, my Articulate Thinker News Clips channel. That was my original channel. It was called just Articulate Thinker, but I split that up into 3 different channels. That one, Articulate Thinker News Clips. This one, Articulate Thinker Podcast. And one more, Articulate Thinker Monologues, which I'm not uploading to tonight, unfortunately. I spent all of my free time putting together some edits for my Articulate Thinker News Clips channel. But let's focus on this channel. I'm just saying, I'm a bit conflicted because, yeah, I can't cover everything I want to cover right here, right now. I don't want to. I'm tired of talking about this. I can't even find the time to refresh my memory on some of these issues, which is necessary for someone like me who is not exactly a legal expert. But, yeah, I guess if you want to see any of my previous shows, podcasts, whatever you want to call them, on the matter, you'll have to switch over to my other channel and see what you can find. I'm just glad you're here. So, yeah, any feedback is much appreciated. Hopefully I can keep this thing going, keep this thing growing on into the future. Starting with this. A tweet from just a few days ago. On the 3rd, I believe. But let me make sure. Yes, on the 3rd of August. From someone by the name of Lisa Rubin at Law of Ruby, which I'm taking to mean that she is a lawyer of sorts, law-splaining always. Someone from the left, sometimes on-air MSNBC legal analyst, otherwise off-air Maddow. Okay. You lost me at Maddow. But that's okay, because I'm going to read the caption. Yeah, anyways. ICYMI. While we were fixated on Trump's newest indictment, E. Carroll moved for summary judgment on her first filed defamation case, arguing that the May trial already litigated all issues of liability and that a January 2024 trial need only resolve the amount of her damages. Yeah. She is seeking damages on top of damages, essentially. This was a 2-part case for her. And she's wanting to get through it as quickly as possible. Or at least get the money as quickly as possible. Maybe that's what it's all about. Maybe it's not. I have my sneaking suspicions via my intuition. But yeah, there's this screenshot here. Carroll 1 and Carroll 2 both concern the same central question. Concern, not concern. Concern the same central question. Whether defendant Donald John Trump sexually assaulted plaintiff E. Jean Carroll. And I feel like if they found him liable, at least in part, on the first part of that, then she is right to assume that the second part of it is kind of a given. And therefore should be wrapped up rather quickly. Not that I'm agreeing with the found liability in the first place. it made no sense. And before I give my cliche rant about that, I'll just try to focus on what's in front of me here. But like I said, this was from a couple of days ago. On the 3rd, she was just pointing out, she being Lisa Rubin, that people were focused or fixated on Trump's latest indictment. And yeah, missed a little bit of the excitement here. But have no fear, there is more. This is the latest breaking news. The latest, greatest breaking news, depending on who you ask. United States District Court, Southern District of New York. E. Jean Carroll, plaintiff against Donald John Trump in his personal capacity. The defendant. That's right. So, memorandum opinion granting plaintiff's motion to dismiss defendant's counterclaim and certain purported affirmative defenses. So, Donald Trump had basically filed a counterclaim against her, and it's not going so well for him. After a motion was filed to dismiss. Yeah. Memorandum opinion granting plaintiff's motion. Granting. So the motion was granted. Sorry, I'm like falling asleep as I speak. But I will press on. I will press forward. Louis A. Kaplan, district judge. I see that there's another Kaplan up here on the list, but if I'm not mistaken, they're not related. Also Kaplan, Hecker, and Fink LLP. I believe there are multiple family trees of Kaplans involved in this. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't have the resources in front of me at the moment. It would take some digging to verify that, but if I'm not mistaken, have heard that they are not related. All right, but as for Louis A. Kaplan, he is the district judge. Not looking too favorably upon Donald Trump. This is a defamation case against Donald Trump brought by writer E. Jean Carroll for certain statements Mr. Trump made in 2019. Is that better? Yeah, it is. While he was president, in response to Ms. Carroll's public accusation, almost said execution, I think that's what she's going for, accusation that he sexually assaulted, raped her in the mid-1990s, because she couldn't be specific. In a closely related second case, Carroll 2, Ms. Carroll brought a defamation claim for Mr. Trump's comparable 2022 statement, as well as a sexual battery claim pursuant to the Adult Survivors Act, ASA, which I did talk about quite extensively in one of my previous shows, because of the statute of limitations. Basically, New York had to pass legislation, sign some stuff into law, just to allow for Carroll. I should stop saying E. Jean Carroll every time I say her name. I'll just say Carroll. In order for her to proceed with these lawsuits and such, no longer criminal. She didn't file a police report back in the day anyway. But yeah, because of the new laws in New York, she was able to proceed without caution in this case. And she's getting away for the most part. Not entirely, since he was not found liable for the rape, the penile, penetrative rape aspect of it all. And this is going to get a bit hot and heavy because of the nature of the alleged crimes, which are not criminal since, it's a civil case. But, yeah, it's based upon alleged criminal conduct. Yeah. And, I was going to say about the law in New York related to the ASA, which is the new law. So, yes, that's how closely it's related. I believe E. Jean Carroll has previously said that she played a role in changing the law. So if she changed the law, if she helped get a law passed and then proceeded to use that law, doesn't that seem like a conflict of interest, to say the least? I think so. But what do I know? Again, I'm not an expert on legal matters. My face is very orange. Huh. Is Donald Trump rubbing off on me? I'm more orange than he is. You know what? I'm going to switch up the angle here. There we go. That's better. It's a little out of sync, though. I don't think you can really pick it up unless you're really paying attention. I'm losing the script here. I got to get back with it. Okay. Yeah. Where was I? A new law, the ASA, enacted by New York in 2022. How convenient. Which created a 1-year period within which persons who were subjected as adults to conduct that would have constituted a sex offense under the New York Penal Code or law could sue their alleged assaulters for damages even if their civil claims otherwise would have expired. So that was her window of opportunity, and she took it. Although, according to her, again, I'll repeat, if I'm not mistaken, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, according to her, she helped to open that window. Interesting how that works. A lot of things work against Donald Trump, don't they? I'm not even a fan of the man, but a lot of things have been working against him lately. Though his polling numbers have been going up, so it's going to hurt him, then help him, then hurt him again. Because even though his polling numbers have gone up, well, it's symbolic of the fact that his base has grown louder, not larger. And I'll maintain that until I'm proven wrong. But I've been wrong before, so who knows? We'll see how he does in the general if he makes it that far. Assuming he gets the nomination. Alright, so yes. New York penal law could sue their alleged assaulters for damages if their civil claims otherwise would have been expired. Even if. Carroll, too, was tried in this court in April and May of 2023. Ms. Carroll testified that Mr. Trump assaulted her in the dressing room of a New York department store in what most likely was the spring of 1996. Most likely, right? That's not very reliable. Among other things, forcibly penetrating her vagina with his fingers and with his penis. Which is probably very orange, but I don't want to think about that. The essence of her account was corroborated by 2 outcry witnesses. I bet they were crying out. In whom she had confided shortly after the attack, and 6 other fact witnesses. I mean, they must have been pretty close if she was confiding in them or with them about anything. But considering who she is as a person and how untrustworthy she seems, not that Donald Trump is all that trustworthy himself, but considering how untrustworthy she seems, in my humble opinion, I wouldn't be surprised if the people she is chit-chatting with aren't all that, well, trustworthy, reliable, you name it, either. I'm just saying. There was no actual evidence other than her word and the word of others who had gotten their own words directly from her. So, not a very strong case if you ask me. But I guess it didn't take much. My problem was, and continues to be, that based upon one singular story about rape, which is what she called it, though inconsistently, Donald Trump was found not guilty, or shall I say not liable, of, how can I say this? Penetration with his penis. But he was found guilty, or shall I say liable, of penetration with his finger, based upon the exact exact same story, the exact same set of evidence or lack thereof. I hate taking Donald Trump's side on things because, again, I'm not a fan of the man, but I'm going to call it like I see it, and this just does not smell right. It does not. Since day one, it seemed political. And as for Carroll, well, she was on CNN not too long ago talking about how rape was sexy. So there's that. Yeah. Who are you going to trust, though? Hopefully no one in this case. Oh, man. By the way, if you disagree with me, which you're free to do, please do, for the life of you, let me know what the strongest piece of evidence was that he was guilty of any of this. Because as far as I'm concerned, they're saying the story is both credible and also non-credible. So you're both liable and also non-liable, Mr. Trumpy Trumpington. Which makes no sense to me. Very inconsistent application of the law. Huh. Alright, so where was I here? Outcry witnesses, in whom she had confided shortly after the attack, and 6 other fact witnesses. Mr. Trump relied exclusively on attempting to discredit Miss Carroll's proof and on portions of his disposition testimony that came in on Miss Carroll's case. He did not testify in person, attend the trial, or present any defense evidence. And I'm not sure exactly what all these outcry witnesses who were not fact witnesses, in fact, I'm not sure what all they testified to, like how detailed it might have been, but obviously not detailed to the point where they could even pinpoint when it happened. All right, so I'm just going to read a little bit more of this. It is a lengthy document. Courtlistener.com. Storage. I can send it your way if you want to read it for yourself, but I'm just going to read just a little bit more of this. A little bit more. The jury's unanimous verdict was almost entirely in favor of Miss Carroll. Almost, but not quite. It found that Mr. Trump sexually abused Miss Carroll, which is defined in the New York penal law as sexual conduct by forcible compulsion and is a felony punishable by the term of imprisonment and registration as a sex offender. Don't you know a lot of people on the left would get a kick out of that? It determined also that Mr. Trump defamed Miss Carroll in his 2022 statement. It awarded Miss Carroll $2.2 million in compensatory and punitive damages on her sexual battery claim and $2.98 million in compensatory and punitive damages on her defamation claim. So, yes, $5 million overall for her. And there was something about her trying to add to that after the fact, because just as she went on to talk about how, he did rape her, according to her, after the verdict was in, well, of course, Donald Trump went on CNN for a town hall and said some pretty, I don't want to say harsh things about her, because if she's lying, then it's not really that harsh to say those things about her. But, yeah, she got to go around after the fact, or after the verdict, I should say, regardless of what the facts are in reality, in actuality. She got to go on claiming that he raped her, even though, he was essentially found not liable for what we would generally think of as rape. So then there was a bit of a debate. Well, not much of a debate. Over whether or not she was defaming him, essentially, by saying that he raped her after it was determined that he did not rape her, at least in the way that she had claimed. And I'll read some articles about that. I don't want to preface that anymore in the moment. Speaking of prefacing, there's another word that starts with PRE. preliminary statement. Might have skipped that word earlier. Those words earlier. Yeah, so the preliminary statement came before this. And this is all I'm going to read for now, for you. But there's a lot more here. See, scrolling down through all 24 pages of it. Most of it is stuff I have read through and reacted to in one form or fashion already on that other channel of mine. But yeah, moving on. Here is something random, which I'm not going to focus on, but I want to run it by you, just in case you're interested. Caption from Call Charles. Hello? Just kidding. Not only was Ashley Biden's diary real, but she hired none other than E. Jean Carroll's lawyer, Roberta Kaplan, to deal with Project Veritas, ultimately resulting in the pre-drawn FBI raid at the home of founder James O'Keefe. You can't make this stuff up. So, I believe that's accurate. I'm not extremely informed on it. I might save that for another show. Give it a go at another point in time. This is insane. We should send to SDNY. And you see the credentials there. And a little bit of a quote from the diary, which belonged to Ashley Biden, of course, where she said, "Showers with my dad. Probably not appropriate." Also, she talks about having sex at a young age and other inappropriate things. So yeah, that's why a lot of people were protecting that diary. That's worth a lengthy show of its own. Or shall I say podcast. Huh. Okay. Gotta be careful how far I scroll here. Never know what you're going to run into. Here's a compilation for you. This was uploaded 4 years ago on YouTube by Grabian. Enjoy. E. Jean Carroll for you. Right here. Right now.
Would you consider bringing a rape charge against Donald Trump for this? Why not?
I would find it disrespectful to the women who are down on the border who are being raped around the clock down there. But for the
And I might have forgotten to change the speed back from double time to single time. So let me play this one more time.
Would you consider bringing a rape charge against Donald Trump for this? Why not?
I would find it disrespectful to the women who are down on the border who are being raped around the clock down there. But for the women down there, and for the women actually around the world.
And it was all fairly playful.
It was charming. It was exciting. Remember what Donald Trump was like in 95, 96? On the counter were these fancy lingerie boxes that they used to have back in the 90s.
Yeah.
You wore lingerie in the 90s, I'll bet, Joy. Well, he didn't suggest it. He shouted it.
He shouted
lingerie.
Lingerie. He may have shouted underwear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you scared? Were you angry?
I was too panicked to be scared.
Too panicked to be scared, okay.
Totally, and I put my life on the line.
Do you think that...
Anderson Cooper's like, okay. She weirded him out in that interview on CNN. She seems like she has a wild imagination. She is a writer, after all, and maybe it's a story that she had in her mind, and she just wanted to tell it. She couldn't help herself. I don't want to mock any victims out there, and if she is a victim, well, that's why I'm asking you, what is the best evidence? Is it simply that two other people, or however many people it was, whom she told along the way, happened to testify the same thing that she testified because they got their information from her, and therefore all the information came from her, ultimately, and there is no evidence or proof of any of it being true? Even though the verdict is in, and Donald Trump cannot call her a liar anymore without getting hit with defamation. Even though, according to the verdict, her story was at least partially false, right? And so it would make sense in a sane world that Donald Trump could sue her for defamation since she was saying things that were proven to be false in a court of law. What do you think about that? Well, things don't work that way, do they? Especially not for Donald Trump. Especially not right now when everyone is throwing indictments at him, hoping they'll stick. Whether criminal or civil in this case. All right.
Well, hold on a second. What do you mean you've put your life on the line?
Well, people have told me I have to be careful.
You've gotten death threats.
I am not looking at death threats.
I had the idea that I'm going to make him put it on over his pants. That was my idea.
Mm-hmm. You see how funny that would be to make him put that on?
Yeah. I guess my question is could there be any DNA on there?
I have no idea. I do not know if the president ejaculated. Have no idea.
Lawrence, I wish I had said, I'll tell you my age if you show me your tax returns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would have been helpful now.
Well,
so I'm holding my handbag like that. The only reason I know I'm holding my handbag is because I discovered it in my hand when I got to the street.
The statement that he said, which he's just made, which is, she's not my type, number one, that was the number one thing.
I love that I'm not his type. I'm an archer. I have bows and arrows, you know. Yeah, fine. I think there's just too, never mind.
I think most people think of rape as it is a violent assault. It is not
I think most people think of rape as being sexy.
And there you have it. Actually, there's a little bit more, I think. But I hope not. That face, though.
Let's take a short break.
Think of the fantasies.
We're just going to take a quick break. If you can stick around, we'll talk more on the other side.
So that has to be one of the most awkward exchanges ever on national television. Thanks to Agent Carroll, who has been found to be at least somewhat credible in this case, which is made up of multiple cases. Carroll 1, Carroll 2. Skip a few, 99, 100 before it's over with. I've played this before, so I don't really need to play it anymore, but Anderson Cooper's like, we're going to have to take a break. This is getting too weird. It's like she's flirting with everyone she's speaking with, but not really. It's like she's coming up with lines for her novels, or maybe they're lines out of her novels. I don't know what's going on in that head of hers, but it's clearly not a normal head. Maybe a very special head, but it's not normal. Same could be said of Donald Trump, for that matter. He's a very unique individual. To each their own, though, I suppose. It's just that when it comes to court, I would hope that it's more than sport. But don't be a sore sport. Like Donald Trump. Or like Eugene Carroll. So we heard it from one horse's mouth. Let's hear it from the other horse's mouth. Trump swears on his children he doesn't know who Eugene Carroll is. So this was in that town hall. The CNN town hall with Caitlin Collins that he took part in almost immediately after he was found liable, but also not liable.
Wasn't raped, okay? That was her charge. It wasn't.
They found that you sexually abused her.
No, what? Say what? They did. They said he didn't rape her, and
They did
I
not
didn't
say
do
he
anything
didn't.
else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who the hell she is.
But Mr. President,
I don't know who this woman
can I
is.
ask you, given your recounting
I
your
don't know
version?
who, and I tell you this.
But Mr.
Are
President,
you ready?
can I
and I
can I
swear
ask
on
you
my
because-
children, which I'd never do. I have no idea who this woman. This is a fake story, made up story. We had a horrible Clinton-appointed judge. He was horrible. He wasn't raped, okay? That was her charge. It wasn't.
They found that you sexually abused her.
No, what? Say what? They did. They said he didn't rape her, and
They did
I
not say
didn't do
that he
anything else either. You know what? Because I have no idea who the hell she is.
But Mr. President,
I don't know who this woman
can I
is.
ask?
Okay, so I had the volume down at first, so I wanted to play that through one more time there at the beginning. He says he doesn't know who she is. I actually believe him, and I don't I don't believe him on much these days. I really don't. He's a talking head just like everyone else. But yeah, I believe him because the standard should be innocent until proven guilty, even in a civil case, right? I mean, it didn't seem like there was much of a standard in this case, since nothing was really proven, which is why I'm asking you to show me if you think that I'm wrong about that. Let me know in the comments below. What evidence, what proof is there that he did anything that she claimed? Whether it's the digital or the genital, you know. Been there, done that. Well, apparently, he only did a part of that. I haven't done any of that, just so you know. Just so you know. Gotta choose my words more carefully when I say been there, done that. Yeah. Speaking of awkward. Trump swears on his children he doesn't know who E. Jean Carroll is. I'm not going to scroll down through these comments, but some people are saying, shows how much he cares about his children. Other people are saying, he wouldn't swear on his children if he wasn't telling the truth. Either way, it's just your typical Trump talking point, which you're always going to get from him, just like you're going to get from any other politician. You know, I try to remain as balanced and unbiased as possible, and I think I've thoroughly explained myself, so, you know. But he needs to quit running his mouth, because it's going to lose him some more money before it's over with if he's not careful, because there is apparently an inconsistent standard. E. Jean Carroll can accuse him of things that may even turn out to be false or at least unprovable, and he'll still lose money in the process, and then he can, in response to that, tell her that she's full of it. He can say that he never did any of it, and then he gets hit with additional damages, additional defamation charges, yeah, so on and so forth. Doesn't make a lot of sense. Judge dismisses Trump's defamation claim against E. Jean Carroll. So yeah, he wanted a little get back, but I guess he's not getting anything back. Actually, he did get some legal fees paid by her. That's something I covered weeks and weeks and weeks ago. Yeah, she actually had to pay him, essentially, because of legal expenses and such. Interesting how that worked out. But yes, a U.S. judge on Monday dismissed Donald Trump's defamation counterclaim against the writer E. Jean Carroll, handing a fresh legal defeat to the former president as he seeks another White House term. Before I forget to mention it, this is a Reuters article. Let me move my face back up to the top corner of the screen. Or maybe I should put it right in the middle, so I could be the center of attention here. Quite literally. Silly me. There you go. Okay, U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan in Manhattan said Carroll's statements made on CNN the day after she won a $5 million jury verdict against Trump for defamation and sexual abuse were at least substantially true, and Trump failed to show she made them with actual malice. So, I started to explain this earlier, and I bit my tongue a little bit. Get it? But it sounds to me like what happened was he was found not liable for the most heinous penetrative version of rape. And therefore, when she went on to immediately afterwards call it rape once again, he said, hey, I was found not liable for that. So that's slanderous. That's defamatory. counterclaim it is. And the judge was like, well, according to our standards here in New York, which seem very malleable, apparently, even if it's not the most heinous form of rape, it is still considered rape, and therefore she can continue to accuse him of rape. Okay. But I would say a worthy point, a point that is worthy of making, is that it just makes her all the more unreliable because, again, in her initial story, the whole point of her claiming that it was rape was that it was the most heinous kind of rape. That's what she claimed. So when she claims it's the most heinous kind of rape, and it doesn't found to be the case, and she goes on acting as though it is the case, and he says that's defamatory, and then the judge takes her side and says, well, even if it wasn't what you said it was, Miss Carroll, we're still going to take care of you. And we're still going to stretch the law of the land and say, well, it's still a form of rape. So, it just seems like all her credibility is gone. But so is Donald Trump's, in a sense. So I guess I can't fault people too much for feeling like they're more inclined to believe her than him. I get that. That's a lot of people out there. But yeah, if anything, she has profited off of him while claiming that he has defamed her and caused her damages. Alina Habba, a lawyer for Trump, said, "We strongly disagree with the flawed decision and will be filing an appeal shortly." Trump, 77 years of age, filed his counterclaim in a second defamation lawsuit by Carroll, 79, who is seeking at least $10 million. The trial is scheduled for January 15, 2024. Trump is the frontrunner for the 2024 GOP presidential nomination. Gotta get some water. My throat is killing me. Republican presidential nomination. He also pleaded not guilty to criminal charges in 3 separate indictments, including over his efforts to reverse his 2020 election loss and his role in events leading to the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol. That's the most recent indictment, the one that was distracting us from Lisa Rubin's tweet. How dare we? How dare we miss her tweet? I have no idea who she even is. I was just searching for Carroll Trump news and saw her tweet. Trump sued Carroll after the former Ella magazine columnist said, "Oh yes, he did. Oh yes, he did," when asked on CNN about the jury's findings that he had not raped her. He also objected to Carroll recounting how she had told his lawyer, "He did it, and you know it," soon after the verdict was read. But it's weird that she would be so emphatic about this if she was on CNN a few years ago saying, "I wouldn't accuse him of rape." Like rape. Because of all the women getting raped down at the border. Remember she said that? Was that CNN or MSNBC? One of those networks that she was on when she was doing her press tour. Huh. Yeah. Always seems like there's a little bit of a motive. Subliminal motive when someone's going on a press tour. But for politicians, it's a 24/7 press tour, so take that for what it's worth. Kaplan had previously found convincing proof that Trump deliberately and forcibly penetrated Carroll's vagina with his fingers. What was the convincing proof exactly? Well, there is a link here. I wonder what it is. I wonder what this convincing proof is. Donald Trump loses bid for new trial in E. Jean Carroll abuse case. You know what? There's not going to be anything new. There isn't anything new here. This article. It might be one I've already read through in the past. It's an article from 20 days ago. Well, updated 20 days ago. July 19 is when it was published. Yeah. I can almost guarantee you there's not anything in the way of convincing proof within that article. So I've already seen the documentation having to do with the verdict, and yeah. But causing immediate pain and long-lasting emotional and psychological harm. I mean, that could explain why she has issues. That's possible too. Seriously. But her statements just don't add up. The verdict reflected that Mr. Trump raped her, albeit digitally rather than with his penis, Kaplan wrote on Monday. Thus, it establishes against him the substantial truth of Miss Carroll's rape accusations. Kaplan also struck some of Trump's affirmative defenses, including that he had absolute presidential immunity and that Carroll was ineligible for punitive damages. Different legal rabbit holes to go down. Roberta Kaplan, who represents Carroll and is not related to the judge. There you have it. Not related to the judge. Got that right. She said she was pleased with Monday's decision, which means the January trial shouldn't take very long to complete. I mean, this is the least of his problems, honestly, since it's civil. Though not very civil. Both lawsuits stemmed from Trump's denials that he forced himself upon and raped Carroll in a Bergdorf Goodman department store dressing room in Manhattan in the mid-1990s. Carroll is suing over Trump's comments in June 2019 that he had not known her and that she was not his type and that she lied to boost sales of her memoir. So if she says, "You are a rapist," and he says, "Actually, I don't even know you," that's him defaming her. I feel like she was given more of benefit of the doubt than he was. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? The $5 million verdict stemmed from a similar denial in October of 2022 social media post where Trump branded the indictment or incident, not indictment. Got indictments on the brain because there are so many of them. Incident, a hoax and a lie and a complete scam. That's what he branded it. Carroll amended her lawsuit after Trump disparaged her as a whack job in a CNN town hall following the verdict. I believe I heard about that too. So she amended her lawsuit, meaning she based upon some things he was saying, was like, you know what, let me change this a little bit. More credibility questions. The lawsuit is Carroll v. Trump, U.S. District Court, Southern District of New York, there's the number. Read it and weep. Okay. I'm going to skim through the rest of these. Trump counterclaim against E. Jean Carroll dismiss. This from the Hill. See if we can get a thrill from the Hill. Oh, no, it's all downhill from here. The point is, a federal judge Monday dismissed former President Trump's claim that E. Jean Carroll defamed him in May after a jury found Trump liable for sexually abusing the writer. Hopefully I've laid this out in a coherent way. Just trying to make sure I don't miss anything. Trump attorney Alina Habba, who has been getting her interviews in as of late. I believe it's her. It's hard to keep track of Trump's attorneys because he's gone through so many of them. But yes. She said the former president would be filing an appeal shortly, calling it a flawed decision. Good luck with that. They're not going to want anything to do with you and any appeal you might be throwing out there. Have a couple of very short articles pulled up here. Judge bizarrely claims Trump fingered E. Jean Carroll so he can't sue her. Okay, let me see what this is all about. Jake Welsh, 11 hours ago. This is recent, so no recency bias intended, but let me give this a go, give this a gander. Federal Judge Lewis Kaplan has dismissed former President Donald Trump's counter-defamation lawsuit against rape accuser E. Jean Carroll, arguing bizarrely that Carroll's claim that Trump penetrated her with his fingers is enough to substantiate the claim on Monday. Kaplan also rejected Trump's request for a new trial in July. So, yeah, more verbiage down below. Words that I don't want to repeat any more than I have to. So we'll leave it at that. I mean, that was what I was already trying to break down to the best of my ability. How it's just kind of interesting dynamic that, well, the verdict stated that it wasn't the rape that she said it was. And yet she can continue acting as though it was the rape she said it was. And Donald Trump has no basis for a counterclaim for some reason. Oh, that's right, because inconsistent standards, hypocrisy, political prosecution, especially in the criminal charges, criminal indictments. Obsessed E. Jean Carroll brings another Trump lawsuit set for January 24. Should I read through this one? Carroll claims Trump raped her at a Bergdorf Goodman department store in New York in the 1990s. Repetitious. Carroll has claimed to have been assaulted by numerous men other than Donald Trump, including a babysitter's boyfriend, a dentist, a camp counselor, an unnamed college date, an unnamed boss, a CBS chief executive, Les Moonves. Her lawsuit against Trump was funded by Democrat billionaire Reid Hoffman. So if you're on the right, if you're a Republican, those details are going to stand out in your mind. They stand out in my mind. That's a lot of accusations, a lot of allegations against a lot of people. And I don't think any of them, or at least many of them, have, well, turned out in the way that this set of allegations and accusations against Donald Trump has. So maybe it is something that she is obsessed with. It's sexual obsession. She's an author. She's got to have an imagination. Maybe she's turned it into publication. Been there, done that in her case. She did that. And now she gets to make more money. Maybe she's just a scammer. I just think that Donald Trump, he's a magnet. He's a crap magnet. Not to call anyone crap. I'm just saying that crap sticks to him. It's both his most powerful weapon and, well, it's still a weapon. It's just turned on him. He wields a weapon against himself sometimes. Trump's defamation countersuit against E. Jean Carroll tossed by New York federal judge who finds rape claims substantially true. Substantially true, whatever that means. This is a more lengthy article from the New York Post. I'll read just a little bit of it and wrap this show up. I'm already 15 minutes into it. 50, not 15. 50 minutes. The jury's findings that Mr. Trump sexually abused Miss Carroll implicitly determined that he forcibly penetrated her digitally. In other words, that Mr. Trump did, in fact, rape Miss Carroll, as the term commonly is used and understood in context outside of the New York Penal Law. I always want to say code. Manhattan federal judge Lewis Kaplan wrote in the decision. That's what it comes down to. That was his interpretation. Whether it's because of political bias, political imbalance, whatever the case may be, well, this is the place to be here on my show. So let me know what you think. Let me know what you know down in the comments below. Feel free to disagree with me on anything I say. I'm just scrolling a little bit further, make sure I didn't miss anything before I wrap this up for once and for all. Agent Carroll looks forward to obtaining additional compensatory and punitive damages based on the original defamatory statements Donald Trump made in 2019, she said in a statement. She's looking forward to it. She says it herself. She says, I'm looking forward to that. Yeah. And there's a reference down here to the hush payments made to former porn star Stormy Daniels. That's the other criminal indictment. Of course, the other criminal indictment is down in Florida, being prosecuted by the same man who is prosecuting him in D.C. And I've also talked about that. But that was on my other channel as well. Man, I can't connect the dots here. So I'm going to get out of here. I'm not going to start talking about Jack Smith, even though I'm tempted to. That's it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Keep in touch. Keep in tune. New content is coming soon. I'm going to go conk out for a few hours before I have to go back to work, where I will be working on things like this. Embroidery. It was part of a logo that I was sewing at work, and I liked this part of it. I cut the business portions off the top and the bottom, and just kept the patriotic portion of it. It's just fabric, like shirt fabric, with a logo on it. But yeah, that's what I do. Embroidery. Run a big sewing machine at work all day, every day.